Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. For those of you that are of the Jewish faith, I hope you enjoyed the weekend's holidays. We've been hard at work doing many things. Uh, there's been a lot of progress with our apps and the updates. They should be ready tomorrow with the new set of updates that we have. Just some little things here and there, and we're still waiting on our auditor to deliver the audit. There's nothing else that they've asked for. Patrick had to go in and do some small changes over the week, but he said we already have our financials and everything documented, and that's the only thing we're waiting for. If we have a delivery from them tomorrow we will be doing our filing and should line up so we can go ahead and do our launch. I've been waiting for this. Everyone's been waiting for our launch. We essentially have everything set to get going. I've been working on some other plans just to integrate some more things that we want to have for the apps ready, particularly certain functionalities that we can showcase with AI. I think everyone saw the demo of our AI component and how it's working. We're going to extend that a little bit more into the vendor's app, so we can suggest on how to describe your product better or improve how you display it or pictures, things like that, and also some metrics, just so you can optimize based on historical metrics. So there's just a couple of other things that we're going to be integrating. Reason is, I've been having lots of talks recently. I guess people are now, I mean, there's a lot of people that know that we were doing a PCAOB audit. There's a lot of people in the investment banking world that know that we've been going through this audit. Usually when you go through an audit like this, if you have your financials ready and they've been submitted for audit, or you have generally the everything in order, the investment banks start offering different options to place shares with their account holders and things like that. So we've been having a lot of people reach out to us, and every time I talk to them, I kind of have flashbacks of the past, when we took MTC in Mexico and did all that. But this time around, it's I definitely have a clear perspective of what we want to do, and that is to showcase the basic functionalities as strongly as possible. That is AI, that is blockchain, that is our services and our product sales. So it's definitely going to be the basis of everything, no matter how much hype or excitement people come in, because people are starting to get excited, especially with the announcements of different IPOs that are coming out. This has been a slow year for public offerings or listings on the New York Stock Exchange and on the NASDAQ, and it's kind of people are getting excited about different companies that are going to be listed in the coming 2 or 3 months before the year ends, and that has had an effect that has also had an effect on people wanting to know more about how we're doing it, if they can place shares and whatnot with their account holders. It's the way the investment banking world works. But generally speaking, it's very positive. I know that one investment bank already put us into their analysis of healthcare companies, and we're being used for case studies. Actually, someone told me that they came into our community chat, has been reading through it, and they see all the comments from everyone. So I really think these are good things, because I always comment on how we have a strong community, and people that have been supportive of us for years now. So it's coming together very nicely. For being the first time that we've ever gone through something like this, such an extensive audit, it really came out so far very smoothly and nicely, even though it took longer than expected. Uh, Patrick has done an amazing job and sped things up for us since he came in. And we're also looking at other other positions that we know we'll have to fill relatively soon. Um, we're going to have to create a external committee as well to review everything. So I've been thinking about people for those roles. And the good thing is we have a lot of people that want to participate and form part of it. So I don't see any issues with that. But I've been just hard at work ensuring that everything gets done, that we have our marketing PR plan and our technology ready, that we have our everything in check from a legal perspective. There's still some other things to wrap up that are not urgent, but like they say in any of these cases, there's always fires burning, so there's always something to do. There's always something to improve upon and optimize. But generally speaking, it's been very, very positive. I'm actually uh, super, super happy that we've gotten to this point and it's turning out how it's turning out. I'm pretty sure we'll be solid, and uh, we won't need to be raising capital. We'll be able to execute on our plans at least for the time being. That's a very, very positive thing. It's a position we never actually been in. So this is a huge leap for us. And I'm just ready for the our services to launch. It's been anticipated. We've had talks of how to take advantage of this winter season that's coming up. We're going into fall now, or we're already in fall officially. But this is actually a pretty good time for us to launch. It's you have the winter season coming up. People consider their health much more than other times of the year, and they're in the markets. At least you have other companies doing public listings and IPOs. There's a good focus on that right now as well. I think in a weird way, the stars are aligning, I would say, or you know, in Spanish you would say "No hay mal que por bien no venga." Whatever has happened to us in the past, uh, there's the fruits of the good work that we've done are starting to be shown to us. So there's a lot of really positive support, and every time I think there's just more and more very important and willing people that want to help us achieve our mission. So it's something interesting happened today. I've been wearing this bracelet from Kenya. It always reminds me of Kenya. I was told never to remove it until it fell off. And just today, if you can see there, it's hanging on by one single nylon thread, which is quite funny considering what's happening right now. It's supposed to be like a uh, good luck when it breaks. It means that your wish has been granted. Apparently, it's one of these superstitious things. I'm not too much of a superstitious guy myself, but it's pretty interesting that happened too. Some people say, "Oh, there are no coincidences," but that's what I was told when it was given to me and put on my wrist back in 2018. I can't believe it. It's been 5 years now since I put this on. That was given to me by the director of the United Nations in Kenya, very popular. The president of Kenya put into popularity. If you go to Kenya, they always give you one of these bracelets. There's different versions of them, but I've been wearing this on my wrist for the past 5 years, which is pretty incredible to look back and say, wow, everything that we've gone through and how we got here. So it's just another thing that I reflect on, thinking of how our services are built out now, and the team, and how we're delegating responsibilities, and really all the work that's coming together now, and how we're going about managing it all. But I'm also so happy to be doing this now fully based in the US, as a US company. Um, it makes a big difference. It's not to say that I don't think companies outside of the US have a shot to doing big things, but just the proximity and the way things work in the US gives us a lot more strength, gives us a lot more capital, access to capital, and there's just generally more of a support network set up in the US for companies that are disruptive or doing something. Even though you still have to deal with all the regulations and things, uh, you still have that spirit of when there's a will, there's a way, and people are much more open to innovations, at least from my experience, in comparison to the kind of experience we had in Mexico, where I thought I was just battling constantly and trying to convince people. I mean, it's not to say that that doesn't happen in the US. You do have to battle and convince, but it's just there's much more understanding for the significance of the technology and also the social good that this could have. I think it's more built into the culture in a sense. So that really makes me happy. I've been talking a lot recently about the blockchain component and how that showcases transparency, particularly because the investment banks always ask things like, oh, what is your horizon on, what are your differentiators? What do you expect the stock to do? And I said, well, I can't say prices or anything, but one thing I can say is that since we're hashing everything and they're publicly verifiable metrics, and we're doing this as a public company, and other public companies don't take this route, uh, it makes us more attractive to investors, knowing that uh, you can easily view publicly verifiable data on product sales and on consultations, and that the numbers are not manipulated in any strange way, which is a lot to say, especially for the healthcare space. It gives us a lot of strength to do that. And it's also kind of been I've had the duality of explaining that to people and also explaining to them what blockchain is all over again. It's kind of interesting because I think there's some people that are just so focused right now on AI. That's one of these. It's an AI is obviously one of the greatest things to ever have been created, but it's all the focus has gone into AI, and it's the perfect combination to do something with blockchain, AI and blockchain. I think Vitalik wrote articles where he was viewing or envisioning a future where AIs would consult the blockchains for different things, and that would become a baseline of society for operating different things and different systems. So in our case, I've had talks with Daniel. Daniel and I had our talk recently in the past days. We were talking about getting started on everything related to the blockchain. That includes the LifeChain Foundation, having staking pools and things like that that have to be done down the road. And we have to obviously check all the regulatory aspects of that. But essentially, there is a path that can be done quickly, and still yet no one has really taken advantage of it to a level that's such a mainstream thing as medical consultations and healthcare. So we're hitting all the check boxes. I would say the investment banks say, "Hey, this is a really innovative thing. That's great. A lot of people need that. They need healthcare services. Basic free healthcare." And I tell them, free basic healthcare is what we do. It has its restrictions, but it's also designed to become a healthcare utility down the road, or for people to consider it that way. And that aspect of it is not only supported by the customer experience, but it's also supported by the blockchain component that makes it even more so like a utility, because you can view the whole chain of events that happen through the blockchain hashes. So it gives it that extra element of a true utility as a service, a true healthcare utility, not so much a healthcare service. It's more of a healthcare utility, kind of like, any utility, home utility you have. That's kind of a version of what we're creating here. And it's also easy to explain that and to support that view in the public, kind of opening up people's eyes to these possibilities. So I've had a lot of talks about that. I just keep on adding more things to the list that we're going to talk about more publicly or in the media. There's some things that we've been preparing, some articles that are already ready to go, more things that we're preparing to kind of educate people more on our technologies and how we're leveraging the technologies to make people's lives better. But really, it's just such a beautiful combination that we've put together to solve the problem of healthcare access for people. And so this is going to be a beautiful thing to look at and to optimize and see grow. But it all starts with the launch. So, we're just waiting on the auditor. They will send us something hopefully tomorrow morning, and we can finally do our filing and proceed to the next stages of the launch and everything. So we're very, very close. I thought it might have been Friday. I actually traveled, and I thought, well, if it happens during my flight, if we get the response from the auditor, it doesn't matter where I'll be. We're going ahead with the filing, and I wanted to have it ready for Friday's AMA. But that's just the nature of PCA will be an audit. So if you ever have to do one, just know that they're very, very deep and they take time. So it's a very, very extensive audit. You have to fulfill many, many requirements. But I'm very happy with how everything came out. So we'll have that done very soon. It gave the developers also some time to fix up some little details here and there. If everyone's reviewed the apps, you'll notice that in some of the sections on the user app, we still had some of the functionalities there actually were in Spanish. When you would do a switch, like little bugs, things like that, when we would do a switch to, say, Russian or Chinese or English, some words wouldn't change. So just little details here and there that improve the customer experience, but we'll be ready to go. The dev team said 2 days, and the auditors also said we should be done very soon. They haven't sent anything back. We've already submitted everything that we had to submit. So we're extremely close to having that done, doing our filing and proceeding with the launch immediately afterwards. That's pretty much what has happened this past week. I've just been focused on wrapping some things up in regards to our plans. We had meetings, team meetings, Jamie, myself, Patrick, Alex, Tanya, Dr. Tsel, and other people on the team. And everyone's preparing for this next stage right now. So it's looking very, very good. So I'll go ahead and ask if anyone has any questions they had in mind. Looks like I've been looking at some of the posts here. I think everyone wants to know about the launch. I've been talking to Quentin. We've been waiting for this next stage until we can get something going and start testing her strategy, which is something that we definitely want to do. And had this past week an extensive talk with Daniel, updated on everything and really kind of put things into perspective from a timeline. We think we can get things done on the blockchain side of things with an initial set of smart contracts written out to showcase even more utility in about a 3-month period, potentially even faster. But we'll see how that goes. He'll be leading that whole front. within the company. So I honestly think there's nothing. There's very few things that will show the kind of utility that we have, especially on the blockchain front, for any token related to anything. So as long as we explain that correctly and people show that, it'll always have that intrinsic base value. And Daniel and I talked about extensively so we could really showcase that, because I don't want, I mean, it's inevitable for people to criticize, especially as more and more awareness of us becomes public. But I think with those things, with the blockchain hashes displayed, and we explain everything very simply for people to understand, and they understand what blockchain is and how one of its key attributes is transparency, it'll really help us kind of change that paradigm into what a company is potentially can do in regards to creating something that's scalable, that's sustainable, that's can reach profitability or reaches profitability, and also very transparent, and something you can fully trust without having to worry about it. Unlike other companies or services that are currently out there, I don't really think any company would be this transparent so far, except for, of course, the blockchain companies that hash absolutely everything. But those are usually blockchain projects that are related to blockchain themselves. So I think this is going to be a great mainstream example. Now, I've said it before, but I'm very excited. It's uncharted ground in a sense. It's very unique. You know, when you look at anything in the space, that's who's talking in the these at the NYSE or the NASDAQ or in the media. Few people are really highlighting these aspects, and I think it's just a matter of time for people to realize and kind of look down our way and say, wow, this is truly a really big innovation, not only for healthcare, but for any company that operates in general, especially as a public company. Because aside from following the rules that one must follow, or the companies may need to follow, that are written out in the U.S. and all the regulations, this is kind of like a higher level of transparency. I think it's just many of the aspects that people would be worried about are automatically eliminated if you use blockchain transparency. So we'll see what that does. But I just think overall it adds so much value, and it'll be value that's not realized in the beginning. Likely that people think, if they don't understand what blockchain is, but eventually those who need to know will understand and know, and we'll make sure of it. There's just a huge amount of PR marketing that'll ensure that we transmit that message. I'm going to go ahead and see that someone is typing. Let's see if there's any comments. I'm going to do a shorter AMA today. I actually have to catch up on several little things. I have some calls with some of our investors. I actually postponed one of our calls, and I have to wrap up some calls with our attorneys as well. Just different plans down the road, kind of working 2-3 months ahead of things, just making sure that everything is well planned out. There are several little things that there's always stuff to do. So, this will be a big catalyst once this is done, but we're always working on different things. The dev team does not stop. We always have new aspects. There's even some more celebrities that were offered to help just recently. I can't mention those names yet, but they're very big. And I just want to get things going as soon as possible in regards to our launch, and start showcasing the services so we can actually take advantage of all these opportunities, amazing opportunities that come to us because of the nature of our services. see. Is it Cristiano Ronaldo? No, it's not. It's not. That's a good question. Uh, you don't be surprised if one day Cristiano Ronaldo does support us. There's definitely a way to access him. One thing about having Jamie on board, and Jamie's, by the way, part of our board, our board of directors, is that some of the top celebrities in the world, uh, we have access to them because of his extensive experience in the space. He actually just started a course for those who are interested in acting. He actually just recently started giving a course online to a school for actors, not on acting, but really to understand what kind of mechanisms people have taken or used to become successful actors. So he's giving that class as from the perspective of a Hollywood manager. And I just think, I'm really not even worried about the marketing PR aspect. I know we're really solid there. I think the biggest challenges are really the scalability of our services as more healthcare professionals join, and trying to keep that queue down, especially knowing the influx of people after we do campaigns, how fast they come in. So that's where we'll showcase our services, but it'll also be kind of where they can get quickly saturated. So we're always working. I mean, everything that we built already is very well built to be managed digitally, and this is something I think last time we did the AMA, I didn't go too deeper into this, but if you use our apps, everything is connected to an administrative app. We have an administrative panel, so we can have really everything as digital as possible and have the lowest amount of headcount as possible. Very different from the way we did it last time, or I did it last time, in the other company out of Mexico. That was we hired people very, very quickly. Now, we still do have to hire people right now, and that will come. And there are, there has to be a speedy process. But overall, we do want to keep the lowest headcount as possible. And it's only possible if you have extremely good management and administration. And we're doing this, we're leveraging technology to do it all. So we actually have a super kind of like a God mode app. We're also bringing a full team dedicated purely to the web aspect of it. So you can view more things on the web than you would on the app, just certain things like the AI explanations and things like that. But it has to be in tandem, and it has to work beautifully online and also on the apps. Right now, our main focus as far as development has been the apps. Our website just allows you to use the chatbot, and then you can forward it to the app, or not forward it. You can click and download the app, but it refers you to the app. But we're going to build out the site as well a lot more, and there's going to be a team dedicated to that. I have lots of things on my mind that I really want to get done. I have awesome ideas. The team does. I mean, we all do. Just to really expand the Doc brand into many things that we know would be helpful in the healthcare space. I'll give you guys an example. There's a company out there that focused on producing scrubs, like stylish scrubs for doctors and nurses that are at the hospital. And there's some great new materials that improve those things, but we have to consider that if we increase our revenue streams, whether that is through increasing our user base or adding more products or Doc branded products, that ultimately fuels more free calls for the general population. So using the Doc brand for that is extremely important, and is something we need to take full advantage of. So, things like scrubs, things like water, even, or, just any kind of medical material, things that we can do relatively quickly. But there are some things that, if you take into consideration their demand, there's big opportunities to add those as potential revenue streams. And there are things that are really related to healthcare that, if we can see those transactions happening place and grow that as well, it'll just increase our revenue stream. So there's a lot of merchandise that we want to produce that could be a low-hanging fruit, since it doesn't require too much logistics or building out. As we grow our services, we can still add more products ourselves that we're selling that are directly Doc.com branded. And, we have a set of things like that we want to do. And there's also just so many beautiful artificial intelligence tools that we can create, besides what's available for regular telemedicine. We can really, really leverage AI to help people dramatically and save lives. And there's a long list of things like that, things ranging from diabetes to nutrition, many ways of optimizing it. It's just really cool, the times that we're living, because a lot of these things are theoretical, and now you can quickly put them to work because of the advancements in technology and AI. But the vehicle to do that in is Doc.com for us. So, there's many things that can be done that still contribute or increase the scope of free basic healthcare. So if you say, for example, okay, I called into Doc.com, I used my phone, I had a consultation with a let's say a veterinarian, I got a prescription for my dog, and they sent the medication, and that was such a quick and easy experience. Well, what happens if the AI tells me, hey, if your dog has this, have you checked the other things, or maybe change your dog's food because it's related to so-and-so, such pathology, and things like that. And that's just on the pet front. That can also be applied to anything related to humans as well. So there's many new, there's a lot of new research that's even the FDA, when we had there's a lot of new research that has to be communicated to the public. I don't know if some of you recall, years ago when we were invited to go speak at the FDA, which was a really cool experience for us. It was a committee of 11 people that we sat down, and I gave a long speech to them. We spoke for about 3 hours, roughly. Just a very cool experience. It was first quite intimidating at first, but then everyone opened up, and they really just showed that they liked what we were doing. They loved the concept of giving free basic healthcare. They loved the aspect of blockchain. They loved, how it was linked to the data. But one of the things that they wanted to do was distribute the information that they have, that they acquire. And there's many, many things that the FDA does, like they'll take certain drugs off the shelves because they have certain side effects, things like that. But all of that knowledge could be potentially packaged and input into an AI where it delivers it dynamically. If it detects that it may be useful for you, it's not just dependent on the doctor or the psychologist to give you that additional information, but the AI could do that. And it sounds like a simple thing to resolve, but when you scale this to millions of people, it just becomes very hard to deliver that information unless you use tools like AI. So I had one of our pharmacy partners, is a very successful woman, born in Vietnam, but a U.S. citizen. She was telling me that her mother received three different prescriptions, a mix of drugs, and there was one substance that was common amongst several of her medications, and she was actually taking triple the amount that she needed to, and that caused certain side effects. Uh, and they didn't really figure it out. It wasn't something. I mean, it's a common cause in medicine. There you have interactions with drugs that you're taking, but despite the fact that uh, they had the whole healthcare history of this woman, they hadn't noticed that, and she had trouble sleeping and certain things like that. So all those uh, all those aspects can be delivered to an AI, and it's much easier to analyze these things. And ultimately, it helps people. So um, I want to be showcased just like we showcase the demo, so people can look at it and say, "Wow, it works! Oh my goodness, this is gonna re change healthcare in general for everybody." And that's really one of the main things that we're focusing on from a dev perspective. When do you expect the veterinary service to start? How long after the launch? Thanks a lot, Ned. Well, the veterinary services, as well as physicians and psychologists, all of those are actually launching simultaneously. It's not really right now. What we have is we have a base of physicians. So the app itself, we can take in healthcare professionals, nurse practitioners, physicians, veterinarians, and psychologists. Those are the four types of healthcare professionals that we can register to give services. And individual campaigns are actually being launched for each group. So right away, it's just a matter of time to see how many vets sign up with us. We have a base of physicians, which is our main focus right now, just to achieve our base business model and our promise of free basic healthcare, because that's what we gave before. It was fully physicians, and then we added this psychological component, and that became huge. It was our fastest growing service, and it had the most amount of recurring users. But now the way we're going about it, the way the technology is structured, we can go ahead and do campaigns for each. So really the limitations are how fast can we add new healthcare professional users to the platform and make sure that there's enough to serve the general needs of the user base at a nationwide level in the US, and then subsequently in the other countries where we're launching. And that really is just a matter of drawing in more healthcare professionals as users. And they have the option of not only making money but helping people in this model, which is something very different from what you see out there in the traditional sense. So we actually, the veterinary component has been, it always comes up and people say, oh, I think that's going to be what's going to make the big difference. It could be, it could be. I kind of see it as more than just on the business side of things. I see it as we have to ensure that we solve the problem, and the problem to solve is free basic healthcare. Now, the veterinary service may make things skyrocket, but it should be the same experience that you would get with a physician or a psychologist. That's kind of like it is the base model that we built, but it is also simplified to that level. So down the road, we could add more healthcare professionals, or even professionals of other types. Who knows? We've talked about that in the past. But really, our main goal is to solve the healthcare access problem at a global scale and save people's lives and help them through free basic healthcare and guide them in the right path, which is still something, despite AI and despite all the new technologies, we still don't have something that truly solves that. But this is that's the mission. So we'll be campaigning for veterinarians, we'll be campaigning for psychologists and physicians and nurse practitioners. How many calls are you expecting per day during the first week of launch? Well, we actually scoped out into our financial model. We're expecting 14,000 in the worst case scenario. I honestly think it's going to be a lot more than that, especially considering the amount of PR marketing that we have prepared to go. So that number is really all consultations in general. So it encompasses everything. We'll see how fast we can grow it. Honestly, I think we can do way, way more than that. But that's really how we scoped it out, because when we scope out the numbers, we have to base it on data that we've seen in the past, and data that's out there as well. Kind of the consultations that insurance companies have seen, just things that you can find in public reports of public companies and analysts analysis of public companies that are in the healthcare space, and they claim to do telemedicine and things like that. So really that's how we got our numbers, and it's something that everyone has to have clear. You have to have it really well scoped out into a financial model. So we have enough doctors to get us to that point, and we also need more. There's going to be a point where it's not so much the amount of doctors does matter, but then again, you don't necessarily have to see or have a consultation to purchase something from the marketplace. You could just be going back and purchasing something else like you would in any online marketplace. And sometimes it may just be streamlined. You may just see someone very, very quickly. So our formula is done with queuing theory, and we can adjust the amount of healthcare professionals that we have as a baseline to cover the needs. But eventually it'll get to the point where it should be an automated process that's fully digital and fully manageable digitally, which means that enough healthcare professionals would be connected for the software to manage how it's delivering the calls to the healthcare professionals based on the amount of patients coming in, and not really have to force us to have a baseline amount of doctors always to reach critical mass. Once that critical mass is reached, it should become an automated process, and that's how it's planned to happen. So we know that will happen. Really, it was just all it really took us to get there is once we had everything built. It was just money. There's a cost to doing it, and we have our customer acquisition cost calculated really well. It's actually very conservative. So we did this based on data. It's really the only way you can do this if you want to do a good job, based on previous data and based on statistics from the finance world and the healthcare space and things like that. So I think we're actually extremely conservative on some fronts, but it's helpful to be that way, especially with things that are so new for people. It's still something. Even today, like everyone's getting excited because they know we went through an audit. Now I tell people, "Oh, we just did a PCAOB audit," and it's like, "Whoa, it's a big thing. It's a very big thing. It's very, very extensive. It's a very deep process." But now that people are getting excited, you start thinking about, the operational aspects, and you think, well, are we covered? I think we are well covered, and whatever comes up, we'll be able to handle. Because in the end, if we're acquiring customers so quickly, because of the marketing and PR components, a lot of people will be receiving help. And if some customers, for example, were to wait too long, which we don't want to happen, we'll be optimizing for that, but we're prepared to deal with those kinds of things with the base that we have now. So a lot of these things will give us knowledge after we launch. So we have yet to see, but we're definitely prepared for this, and it's because of the previous experience that we have, and the network, and how people are the way we analyzed everything this time. It's much more thorough, and we're definitely ready, prepared to go. Let's see, is it going to be possible to purchase something from Marketplace outside of the Americas? Well, the short answer to that is not for the time being. We have it scoped out that on month 7 we'll expand outside of the U.S. That's what we have put into our filing documents. It could be different. It's not really it's not so much a thing of capital. And this has happened. I mean, I lived through this in the past. It's not so much the issue is not so much capital right now. It's really the logistics and work of launching in a new country, because you can have a lot of capital, but it still takes time to prepare all the legal documentation, assure that you're operating correctly under the regulations of each country or each state, things like that. So we'll go. We have that flexibility where we can really go to most major markets, or most markets that have major cities in them, which means all of Latin America and Europe, Asia, the Middle East. But we'll go where we see the most amount of support and where it makes sense to expand quickly. Latin America is a no-brainer just because I'm from Mexico and a lot of the team members are from Mexico. But it's really it could be that Europe, we also have 4 countries scoped out for Europe, and that can give us strength. And a lot of these things will come from suggestions from the community themselves, or, from you guys and from our investors. So suggestions like that. So we'll see. We have a strong feedback loop built into the apps. We'll be looking at users, but really, I'm not going to say exact launch plans outside of what we have already scoped out into our filing documentation. We really haven't planned anything significant besides what's in there. I mean, there's always ideas running, but whatever we do end up planning, we'll inform everyone on. As of now, using it outside of the U.S., it's not to say that you couldn't get a consultation outside of the U.S., but you maybe wouldn't be able to get a product delivered to you, or maybe you could, but maybe at a very high cost, because the delivery and the shipping is actually handled by our pharmacy partner, and could be they could ship out there. Probably shipping costs would be much higher. So, or you have to deal with customs when the product gets to you. But that's generally it. I see us expanding very rapidly to other regions, just because how we built our services. It's more of a standalone software build that allows the connecting between patients and healthcare professionals. And in that sense, it makes it much easier for us to expand it to other regions rapidly. And that's how I wanted it to be, because of how because of past experience. It wasn't like that before. Before, it was much more segmented. We were much more, we controlled all the aspects of the services much deeper, which also was much more inefficient at the time. So lessons learned and things that we changed and optimized to make this more flexible for us to expand rapidly to other countries and to impact more people. I mean, there's enormous need everywhere. And we also know that most developed countries in the world have pharmaceutical industries. And so as long as that's there, the rest becomes more of a logistics problem to solve. So how you solve the logistics issue of delivering those medications. That's where it comes down to, because overall, most people can get some medication by mail, so there hasn't really been that much difference in that aspect. Uh, but it is, certain delivery methods are kind of monopolized in certain countries, so the things you have to deal with. Can we know what are those four aimed European countries? Yes, you can, because I've already mentioned this in the past. It's Spain, Great Britain, Germany, and France. Those are the four countries that we had in our growth plans for Europe once we get to that stage. There's a lot of work right now just with the US, and I'm really hoping that we can get past our initial growth spurt and smoothly in the US. It doesn't take us more than 3 months to really have everyone talking about us and trying out our services. But it's there is opportunity elsewhere, and opening up our services in a different region is not that difficult from a tech perspective. It's more of a regulatory and logistics thing. So there'll be teams just fully focused on that. We already know this. We still have to hire some other people, but we have people in Europe already ready to go. Pablo's there, and he's the one who suggested those four countries, actually, when we did an analysis of them. So right now we're good. We're very, very good with the current plan in place, and we'll be executing this and making sure that we help a lot of people and surpass our goals as fast as possible in the US. And then, I really want to launch in Mexico. I know that the need is huge there. I know so many people that are, it's just common Mexican necessity for the mass population to need our services. I mean, that's why it's how I originally thought of making them this way, because I saw the need was so enormous there. But the need is everywhere. So definitely it's even in first world countries, even in Europe, there will still always be people that benefit. And I know that Tommy, for example, Renelle, his wife, used to use our service to get prescriptions, and she thought it was very convenient instead of having to go seek a doctor and do it the traditional way, which was extremely slow. It would take her days to get it done instead of doing a quick thing and solve the problem. So that's just one of many examples of things that we'll be doing. But the base infrastructure to get this done, that's what we built. That's what we have now. We have great team members, and I feel more confident now than I ever have with anything, even with these delays. I mean, it's kind of like saying, well, I guess I can reference medical school to this, but it's like saying, oh, it took you a long time to become a doctor, so some people would say, oh, that's a bad thing. But in the end, you're still a doctor. It's just a great thing. It's a great thing. And that's kind of how I feel now. I feel like, oh, it took a long time to get a PCAOB audit, and structure everything for a public company and do this. And some people may criticize, but it really is a huge undertaking. And no matter whatever you get out of it is just beneficial in so many ways. It's just because it forces the company to do so many things, to structure things a certain way, to project out, to consider risk factors that you normally wouldn't consider. I have become a fan of this even more than I used to be, and I understand why. I understand why people that I admire so much have taken this path. It's no BS. It's straightforward. Probably the most transparent kind of leap someone can take, and also in that way a big risk if you're not doing things the right way. So for those that are doing them the right way, doing things well, it's wonderful. And that's how I feel for us. I'm thinking, what better thing could we have done than do this like we're doing it? And it took time to realize it, taking this path, and experiences and things to learn. But now that we've done it, it's definitely, I think, the best version of what we could be, and I'm very happy for that. Anyways, I hope everyone is doing well. I'm very excited to just get our launch done. It could be at any moment now that we get our response back from the auditor and with the go ahead. Um, I've been waiting so long for this, just for this next stage, and there's still work to do. It's not to say we're done, but we still have to update our filings, and with our, there's still things that we're going to be updating them with, but that's just the bulk of the work is done with this filing. So it should be any moment now. There's other things there's, like I said, there's always fires burning, always things to do, but I'm very, very confident that we'll be able to move forwards, and whatever is thrown our way, we'll be able to resolve. And I feel like our services will be, people will see them very differently now. They'll think, why didn't this ever exist? And I'm very excited to see that. It's kind of one of those great leaps in life when you think it's such a wonderful thing to have the opportunity to be part of something like this, and to see it come to fruition, no matter how long it takes or how hard it was. And so we're almost there. But I'll leave everyone with that note, and I'm going to get back on doing some other work things that I have to do. But I wish everyone a great week this week. It's very likely that I'll do another AMA this Friday. But I'll definitely update everyone. If we do our filing, let's say tomorrow, I'll just post a message there on our chat group and on the main chat, and send over good vibes, because things are coming along well, and the stars are aligning, and whatever you may call it. It's things are getting much, much better. So thank you so much, everyone. As always, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart that everyone is here and still comes and is supportive, and has been along with us for the journey, and has seen and commented and given their opinions, and helped out in many ways. It's been a true blessing, and I appreciate everyone that's here. I'll be hopefully updating everyone with good news on Friday, and or sooner. And I wish everyone has an excellent week. Enjoy, stay safe, keep warm, enjoy your family and friends, and we will be speaking soon again. Thank you.
Hello, hello.